guys, it's Kaylee and I'm back with another video. I have done a little soft glam for you guys, and if you want to know how to get this look, then keep on watching. For today, I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Tori Belle Pore Perfecting Primer. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put it in all the general areas of where my makeup might become patchy throughout the day. So now, once we're finished priming, we can start with the first step of our makeup. I have a little cup of water here with me, and I'm just going to dunk my beauty blender. I only use this one to apply my foundation. I just recently ordered this foundation from an Instagram ad. I'm not too sure how to pronounce the name of this foundation, but I do have this right here in the shade Woke Up Like This, which is 040. I'm going to go ahead and apply some to my beauty blender, and then what I'll do is I'll just take my finger and I'll just kind of dot it around. And then I'm also going to go ahead and apply some like under my chin and on my neck. When you're using your beauty blender, you want to dab it and kind of just pat your skin. I also sometimes like to add a little bit more foundation under my eyes. In case you don't like using concealer, you can always just add more foundation, and it adds a little bit more coverage and it covers up your bags or dark circles or anything. I also don't like putting concealer in all of like the T-zone areas. I only put it under my eyes. But some people really like that brightening effect, which isn't a bad thing. It looks really nice. I just personally don't like it. Now that I'm done with my foundation, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my concealer. So the concealer that I use is the Kylie Jenner concealer in the shade Gypsum, I believe. I actually really like this concealer. For concealing, you want to kind of place it in a triangular shape rather than just putting it under your eye. If you put your concealer in a triangular shape, that is how light naturally hits your face. But I like to just put one here, down here, and then like that. It's gonna come down the nose and then up the cheekbone. And I'm just gonna go in with this same smaller beauty blender. And you're just gonna blend it the same way that you would blend out your foundation. And then if you want, I also kind of like to just brush a little bit onto my eyelid so that later I have a good base for doing my eyeshadow. And then actually what I'm going to do with this, since I did use it to prime my eyelid for a little bit of eyeshadow later, I'm going to take a smaller brush, kind of like so. And I'm just going to use this to take a little bit of powder. I use the Covergirl powder in the shade 105, which is translucent fair. And I'm just going to take this and put it on my eyelid so that the concealer that I just placed on it doesn't crease. And then I will continue with doing my concealer. I'm also not going to do like a crazy eyeshadow look or anything. I really just want to keep things really nice and simple. So for the next step, I usually do my contouring. I use the Smashbox contour stick in the shade bronze. So I actually don't even use their darker color. I use their bronzing stick. So I like to just kind of swirl it a little bit right here. Kind of just swirl it, and then I put a little bit here and here, and then I put some on little sides of my forehead. I'll go in again with the same beauty blender that I've done my concealer with. I might have used a little bit too much because it is a little dark, but I am going to put powder over it, so that tends to tone it down. So I do tend to like pull it up into my hairline a little bit. And once it is blended out, I take that powder that I used. I have the Covergirl loose powder. You can use any powder, really doesn't have to be loose. But then I take my Real Techniques powder brush. So when I'm finished with like all of the creaminess and like the concealer and the contouring, I take powder and I just set my whole face face. I don't even worry about where I'm putting it. I just put it all over, and I just make sure that everything is set into place. This is definitely an essential. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start with my bronzing. So I don't like to use a typical bronzer. I do use my LA Colors contour palette. I actually kind of really like this shade up here. It's just a little light. So I might go ahead and mix that because that is a really nice cool toned contour color. I really like that color. So now I'm going to show you what I do my bronzing with. I use this little brush. It's not big at all. It came from a makeup brush from Amazon, but it works really well. I don't like to use anything big because I do feel like if you use a bigger brush, your makeup kind of tends to get everywhere. And this is the brush that I use for my blush, as you can tell. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this shade and this shade. Tap off any of the excess. You don't want to put too much at a time because you can definitely add on more, but you can't take away. And then I kind of just like to pat it over where I put my contour. I'll make these little fishy faces and drag it out. And then of course I'll go back and put it over the contour that we put up here too. I do like to take my powder on a sharp edge of my beauty blender and I just kind of draw a line right under my contour and bronzer, and that just kind of makes it really sharp, just like this, and we'll leave it there, and then later we will brush it off. And then I also like to put a little bit under my eyes just because it sets the concealer into place. So now we can move on to the eyes. I think I might try to zoom you in a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I have you guys just zoomed in a little bit so you're not too far away. So I think today we're kind of just gonna do like a little pinky champagne kind of look. If you're like starting off or you kind of just do your makeup every day for work, brown is always the way to go. I love using neutral shades. For your crease, you can use any brushes that look like these. They're going to be a little bit fluffier and it's going to make it a lot easier to blend the shadows into your crease. I'm going to start with this Lancome 17 brush to start in my crease. You never want to put shimmer shades up here in your crease. Shimmer shades always go on the lid. So we're going to start with a nice matte shade. So I am first going to take my Sipping Pretty palette by Kylie Jenner, and I'm going to take the shade Vanilla on Vanilla just to give myself a base. So it's this really light shade right here, and I'm just going to tap into that a little bit, get any of the excess off, and I'm just going to put it all over my lid. I kind of want to go in with this one right here. This one is called Pregame, and I'm just going to use swiping strokes with the brush. And so this is just to have a little bit of depth in the crease. I'm going to go ahead and go in the other eye. You always want to tap off the excess. You can just kind of go like this. Don't want to put too much product down. I want to go ahead and just add a little bit of pink. I think I want to go down here to that shade. And the shade is called Martini Mama. And it's this really pretty light purpley pinky shade. And I'm just going to take the same brush that I just used to apply that transition shade. So I really kind of just want to blend this in with the transition shade. I don't want it to take over my eye. So now that we've got it nice and blended, I'm going to take a different brush. Now if you don't have one of these, you can always just use your finger, like your pinky. Your pinky works just as well. It just might not be as precise. But I am going to take this, I think it says SL Miss Glam. It's a short shader brush. I'm not really sure who it's by. I get a lot of these in my Ipsy packages, but I have this little shader brush here. And what I like to do, but what you can do, is just dip it in water. What I'll take is I'll take my Fix Plus and I'll just spritz the brush like this just to get it a little wet. I think I want to take Vermeer out of my Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia. It's this really champagne-y looking shade right here. And I'm just going to take my shader brush, just kind of like to pack it onto my lid. Wetting your brush is really going to help the shimmer shades stand out. It's really going to help them pop. That's really pretty. Once I do that, I just go back in with the same brush that I used before, and I just go over it just so that there's not a harsh line between the colors up top and the color on my lid. So now that you guys are zoomed on back out, I want to finish up my face with some blush. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my big powder brush and just brush off all of the powder that I left on my face earlier. I'm going to go ahead and take that blush brush, and I use, where's it at? I think I'm going to go ahead and use my LA Colors Red Rogue blush. I just like to tap it. I don't like to put too much, but I do like to come down to the apples of my cheeks. And then I do like to add a little bit of blush to my nose, and to my chin, and a little bit to my forehead. Now for my eyebrows, I don't like to do a lot with my eyebrows just because I feel like my eyebrows are just already so dark. So what I do like to do, I like to take a spoolie and I'll just brush my eyebrows out. And then I take my Brow Fix Tint and Shaper, and I just use this to kind of just fill in any gaps that I have in my eyebrows. So I like that. I kind of want to get into doing my lashes. So I do like to use my Tori Belle Cosmetics magnetic liner and lashes to finish my looks. I do have a video on the magnetic liner and lashes that definitely lays out all of the steps on how to apply them. So I'm going to go ahead and apply 2 coats of this, and then I am going to pop my lashes on. Is it going to focus on me? There we go. I think I'm going to go in with my Ofra highlighter. I'll tap off if there's too much. And then I'll kind of just put it like right here above where I put my blush. Okay, so the lash style that I'm going to be using is going to be Ladies Night by Tori Belle. Pretty much just pop them on like so. And that's literally how easy it is. Okay, so now that I have my lashes on, I'm going to go ahead and just finish off the look with a little bit of mascara. I really like to use this Maybelline the Falsies Push Up Angel Mascara because the brush is really small, so it makes it really easy for me to kind of just get up in with my falsies and just apply a little bit of mascara to my natural lashes to blend them in. And that, you guys, is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to leave a like, any comments or suggestions, and subscribe.